I got my African name. I was 18 years old when I met my biological father. His name, I'll give you, is Kafensi Umoja. When we met, we didn't like each other so much. I was plus size, 18, and couldn't believe the things that this man was telling me about what he had done in life without making away from me. Anyway, he told me that he named me Maia Abina Umoja, which means pretty girl born on a Tuesday. Yesterday someone asked me what my favorite day of the week was, and I said Tuesday, and that's why. So, unbeknownst to many folks, I have African ancestry. It's not something that I keep a secret or any of those things. It's the reason that I'm an African spiritualist to a huge degree. It's just that Maia Abina Emoji is no bigger a part of me than Janine Christie Hill. I'm still me. In fact, she probably has the most African identity and makes up a huge part of why I stand on it. The warrior. I no longer feel the need to define myself by a tribe, a title, whose child I am. It matters not. In the 50 years I've been out here, we're going to include some womb time, okay? In the 50 years that I've been out here, I've been out here. So yeah, I'm an emoji. I'm a Paxton. I'm a Perkins. I'm a Hill. I'm real. I'm a healer. It's not by coincidence that my bloodline runs both sides of this. When I died, I could hear my ancestors talking me through the middle passage. And it was different. They taught me how to breathe. I heard things you wouldn't believe. There was a man on the bus a couple of days ago, African gentleman, staring at me, driving me. Like, we know each other, partner. What it do? What it do, right? Within a day or two of that, he's sitting down with a gentleman that I know who happens to not be black or African and having a conversation. And he looks over to me and he says, "This is my buddy so-and-so." And I was like, "Oh." I was like, "Hey." He says, "He speaks Swahili." That's when I give him the look. And he's looking at me like, "No way. Yes way. I was taught Swahili as a child." Up until 16, I think, when we get to Kansas, that's the last time that I interact with someone who speaks Swahili. Outside of that, I learned it throughout my childhood. That's why I tell people don't trust your eyes. You understand what I'm saying? When I say that I know French, when I was in elementary school, we had to learn that song. Frere Jacques, right? And then that leads to other things. My stepfather learned French when he was in school, so we'll pass a little bit of that on. And then I learned German growing up in Germany. I had to learn some more French in order to get through The Little Prince. Spanish. Most of my Spanish, I admit, I learned in the kitchen. Yet I've learned Spanish through the years I know when you're talking ish about me. You know what I'm saying? I had to talk to somebody. Listen, I have gone into an industry where men have always led this thing. And I'm not talking about politics. I'm talking about being a culinarian. This is when we had guilds. Something that I think that we should get back to, if you ask me. There was love in it then. There was an artistry to it. Someone took the time to care about it. You want to know? Like ramen noodles. What it really takes to make ramen? Bro. It's an art form in and of itself. I'm going to put this in here. Hello. Okay. It's a dichotomy for me, but so many other people, I've seen duplicity. To be the mother of men, you have to be able to understand them. To know when to ebb and when to flow, so to speak, right? And my sons can tell you stories of there being notes on the wall of what to do before they leave the house, because I got tired of telling them. I can tell you stories of times when I just realized my mother-in-law gave me one good piece of advice, which is they'll change when they're ready to, basically. And I just found that to be true. The thing is you have to prepare them for the change, though, right? To go from little boy to big boy to little dude. You know what I'm saying? There's a growth structure in there. The gentleman here that I was working with when COVID hit, they wanted to do a rite of passage, and I was down with it. I just not in the way that we know it to exist today. Every rite of passage that we know of at the organized level is some form of break you down to build you up. When it comes to young black men specifically, they simply need to be built from the ground up with love. Do you understand? Do not mistake me for saying they don't need discipline and structure and understand. They need all of those things in a loving, compassionate manner. Because we have to get to the root of it. They weren't built to love. The American power structure built black men to be dominant, to be masculine, to be strong, and above all, to take it all without saying anything and hand it over to, shall we say, the company man. Black men, black people in general, were never supposed to break the barrier on back-breaking labor. But because we forget our history, we don't know about the I suppose we could call it an American Renaissance, but the Reconstruction era brought black people into the halls of government for the first time in this country, so to speak. That's where state history matters. States' rights matters. That's where knowing that there are states outside of yours and having gone to them matters. You can see in each city, state, what actually exists by way of their constitutionality. right? What they've got written into laws in the city, in their communities. It doesn't translate to the federal government. It sometimes doesn't translate to the state. It's the way that the system is set up right now. It's one of the things that we want to change. We need a global way of communicating at its base so that we can dominate globally. Now, by that, it's no longer just about the world stage, America, and so on, right? We're talking about preparing for the possibilities of interstellar things. If that makes sense. And preparedness is key. We need to make a quantum leap in understanding. So we need to educate our people. And it starts by getting a clear understanding of who we are as people. Oh no, that's another thing. That being said, no one wants to be beat over the head with their tragedy, their past lives, their trauma, their stuff, right? So I built this little internet city of mine, so to speak, to determine something. From the first channel, right, and the things that I did over on Twitter, all the way from now. That's my global city, right? Let's just say. I've learned a lot. A lot of it I've already spoken about. I did my best not to leave anybody out. I recognize that some of the vitriol that I have been getting is, hey, look, listen, don't forget about this, and this. I haven't forgotten. I don't see a place for the pedophile anywhere. And I'm honestly being fair for a host of reasons. I was talking to people who can empathize with the idea that, perhaps one can grow and change. How long does that take? I'm 50. It's one of the things that we've not seen in history. 2. That includes the transgender crew. There's a lot of work that needs to be done, and it's not up to me to make it acceptable. It's not. I'm going to be honest. I don't understand why one can't just remain a gay man. All of the attributes that I have seen people decide to take on when they become trans are still clothing, makeup. I've not really seen the inner being develop into a more feminine being by way of having surgery. It's a mind over matter thing, if I'm being honest. I walk in my femininity every day, and yet I've had men say to me that I'm a man out here because they're mad about how I respond to them. I recognize masculinity for certainty. You understand? Most importantly, too much duplicitousness in that community. And this goes also for the LGBTQ part of the people, right? Let's talk about it. I'm a woman. I'll be 50. I have been made the token straight friend in the queer community around here, so you don't get to tell me diddly squat. I done had the conversation with all of the alphabet. You dig? Okay. Too much duplicity. You get to be straight whatever day you want to be straight, and then every other day you get to be whatever the fuck it is you want to be. But those of us who are straight, we got to be straight every goddamn day. And then we got to be nice when we know you lying to our fucking face. Then you expect us to change the way that we communicate to make you feel better about the lie that just took place. I swear no. No. You want to go this route, you treat it like HIV, and you tell everybody the moment that you decide that you're going to transition. So they have a choice. Because your life is complicated, being around you is complicated, loving you is complicated, and I'm not saying that it can't be done, but woo-wee! You got to unspin a web of deceit. It's not anybody's fault, if you ask me, when it comes to the need to lie about this thing, because we've been stigmatizing it for so long, right? However, there's a reason for the stigmatization. Now, here I sit in juxtaposition because I say that cannabis has been stigmatized to the point where I died. But I'm also able to show and prove that cannabis has saved my life. I need to see that on the other side. And I'm not. I don't see it. That's what I'm talking about. That goes for anything you're advocating for. You want me to believe, put money behind it, put my time and interest and whatever else it is behind that shit, I'm going to need to see it. I'm going to need to know that there's something viable. The ability to do something matters. Not just about going to school. School is great. If you go in with a mindset of, I ain't doing nothing but going to get a degree, it doesn't matter to me, what are you going to take into your field of study? I'll be back. All right. At the 18-minute mark. I want you all to go back with me. We'll do a little bit of history real quick. If you were to trace my lineage, my mother, from my understanding, is directly connected to Alex Haley. You think the movie Roots. Okay. My biological father is connected to the Emoji Foundation. From my understanding, I'm the child in this situation. Okay. That is two sides of African ancestry inside of this country, and I was born in this country. I'm Obama original, so to speak. I have no criminal history. Trespassing charge, speeding tickets, nothing that keeps me from getting a federal background check done, because I've had several of them throughout my lifetime. You understand? A black legacy. You should wonder why I'm on the streets. Could it be because I practice what I preach? Holistic healing. I don't take any drugs or supplements. It's me, weed, coffee, tobacco, food. That's it. Of that, I've made a sustainable business. I've saved my life, several other people's life. I've helped many people turn around addiction. in a short amount of time. And when it comes to saving lives, why they really feared me is because I have that ability, you see. God puts me right where I'm supposed to be. So a couple of years ago, a young woman had a stroke at a shelter that we were staying at. And even though there was a nurse on property, it was me who was doing the external rubs to keep her alive and talking shit in her ear, underneath her, no less, when EMS got there. EMS would come across me at least 2 more times underneath a woman at the shelter. You know, they probably would have started to wonder, well, what's going on with this person? Especially because these are people who were around me. But mind you, they're in the shelter. You can't help the company you keep sometimes. Long story short, I helped a woman come from 2 seizures to be able to go onto the band with the EMS. I was woken up from my sleep to do so. Older woman was dying. I could hear her. Agonal breathing. Talked her into taking some medicine and going to the hospital. She would end up having double pneumonia and COVID. And come back with me. But you see, I recognize in that moment of dying, right? You see me, and then you see the people who are telling you what you don't want, and here I am talking to you and giving you a choice between the two. Do not look like the angel or something to you? You understand? That's how these terminologies come to exist about me. Otherwise, I don't really claim any of those things. It took a nurse to tell me that I'm a natural at healing. And I thank her for it. She was also a part of the miracle. I think it's important, because that's really why they don't like me. It's the blackness, especially my history, my own legacy. Something that I don't even really stand on. I'm just curious about recently. And my ability to take something and turn it into nothing. I give that to God, though. I believe I'm his masterpiece. But getting back to duplicity, that's it. I'm Lilith, not Eve. First wife. I see it. Eve took on the duplicitousness of the tongue of the snake. And that's the well from which Adam drank. So now you've got men pretending to be women or giving off hints of femininity where it shouldn't exist. This isn't to say that men should not understand women, thereby they need to understand femininity. It's just they don't need to present as women to understand women. I didn't need to present as a man to understand men. I had to take the place of a man. I hope that helps you understand. I had to reconnect with my femininity when my sons came into manliness. So they would understand the difference. Because it exists for a reason. I'll put it like this. Most dudes name their cars after women. They're whatever. You understand? The woman is amused to a man, not amusement or to be abused by a man. You understand? If you choose to place her on a pedestal, be sure it's on a stable foundation. And you can work with it. She's already made and molded. God did that. You can't chisel away at her or her foundation in that way. You gotta love her through the good and the bad of it. And if you can't do that, then you're not that guy. And that's okay. Accept that and walk away before you misuse your muse.